Hey, it's Jeff, bringing you the first intuition training video on this channel. I did guess the move on the Magnus game a while back, and I looked at the notes that John made when he guessed the move, and I looked at Magnus' perspective of the game when he talked about it afterwards, and I created a little bit of a positional exercise. So you can go ahead and pause the video and answer this question. Is bishop takes f4 okay for white? And should we play bishop takes d6? So it's white to move. So I'll give you a chance to pause the video and take a shot at it. Alright. So actually Magnus played rook e1 in the game. And so what that told me was that allowing the trade on f4 is okay for white. I was kind of hesitant to create these double pawns if black takes. I didn't know how to evaluate that, and so in the end I ended up just taking on d6. John also took on d6, but earlier on while he was thinking, he did mention that that taking on d6 and queen takes d6, it kind of helps black's development. So black brought his queen out and the rooks are connected. So in this situation, bishop takes d6 doesn't really seem to be as helpful, and taking the double pawns on the f-file is actually okay in this situation. Now after bishop takes f4, so after rook e1, bishop takes f4, e takes f4, John also mentioned that you get more of a hold on this e5 square. So the f pawn and the e pawn, also it makes more sense with the rook going to e1. So we've got this queen and rook, everything's lining up on e5, even this knight on f3. And Magnus gave this line after the game, so c takes d5, c takes d4, c takes d4. And after queen d6, Magnus said that this is a bit passive for black. So he didn't really think that black should go for this trade on f4, since it didn't seem to lead to much. And so when I was doing guess the move, I immediately pointed out that this decision with the bishops was the first to make, so either you allow a trade to get double pawns or do something else, and I wasn't sure how to evaluate it, so I ended up guessing bishop takes d6. But now I create this training exercise partly for me so that I can re-quiz myself on this over time and see that I want to be at the point where within a couple seconds I can realize, okay, bishop takes f4 is okay for us in this situation. Now just help me with my mental database of positional ideas and thinking like a master. And so you can also see that this was a learning moment even for an international master like John Bartholomew, learning from the world champion, because he was also surprised with the rook e1 move, and he actually mentioned that he would be adding this to his like mental database of ideas, in a sense. And so what I can do is, let's see, I can actually show that since the opening is pretty early, this move, bishop takes d6, is actually the most played move, like 19 times. And Magnus's rook fe1 was only played 4 times. And so bishop takes d6, even though me and John played it, we still learned a lot from Magnus's idea, I guess. And even the engines prefer rook e1, which I can show in a second. Let's see. So here's Arena, we've got Leela. Test 40, the latest test 40 net. So here's test 60 going on, but this was the previous main test. So here, look, rook fe1 is plus 0.40, but bishop takes is plus 0.28. So it goes. So the valuation goes down a bit after taking. So it's not a huge end of the world mistake by any means, but it is interesting that Magnus's move, which wasn't the top database move, does line up with the engines pretty well. And I actually did some Leela versus Leela matches at 16k nodes just to see what happens after bishop takes. And so there's 3 games. So one was what a c takes d4 line that Magnus mentioned. This one actually, white starts to get into some trouble, it looked like. So this, I'm just going through the moves pretty quickly, just trying to get an idea of how they're placing their pieces. The main point of the video was evaluating whether whether the trays were okay, either taking on d6 or them taking on f4. So this isn't really meant to be super instructive, but just to see, like, very quickly get a sense of what the position is looking like. And then let's say they take and go queen e3, and then we go, or they go queen d6 and we go queen e3. So they'll end up pushing these kingside pawns, and it's almost like they're attacking white's king in a sense. Sometimes f5 is played, sometimes they go h4. That's what I noticed. And so this looks like very dangerous for white, but actually I guess it means it's like a double-edged position where, like, if 2 humans were playing, either side would have chances because it looks like a position that I would lose from either side. And let's see, and also, like, starting from g3 to protect the f4 pawn. You can see this looks kind of similar to Magnus's game where he brings the other rook to d1. And black tends to get a hold of the c file. And yeah, you see, like, all these pawn moves on the king side is kind of interesting to me. So that's kind of what I have in mind. So from this beginning position, when I think about, okay, I'll play rook e1, they can take, and then in some situations the king side starts to get crazy. So that's kind of what I took from it. So yeah, pretty short video just to give you a quick positional exercise. There'll be a lot more of these over time as I study chess and create new examples. So hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.